Hello, ToB fans. Julian here again. And this time, we are diving into the movies section of the 7th annual Tobies. I hope you listened to our TV section. Really great stuff last year from the TV side. Less great stuff, technically, I guess, comparatively on the movie side. Hopefully, 2024 proves to be strong. I mean, we have Dune 2 just around the corner, March 1st. And speaking of Dune, should mention for the Patreon exclusive film club, we are doing Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1 this month, February. So if you are not already a subscriber, head over to patreon.com/TowerBabblecast. For as little as $5 a month, you'll get access to that, plus the Discord and some other fun bonuses. So again, that's towerbabble.ca/support. I think that's another way to help us out. You can get links to everything there. In fact, just go over to the website, towerbabble.ca, for everything that we do. But without any further ado, please enjoy our top films of the year 2023. Okay, let's move over to movies, because this is where things really get, I think, interesting. So same format, we'll work backwards from 3. Vince, again, as our guest, why don't you go with your number 3 film from the year 2023?
Yeah, fantastic. This one, I was looking through my list of what I watched, and Dungeons and Dragons was actually a really fun time at the movie theaters.
100% agree. I was also very close to making my top 3. I had an absolute blast with this movie in the movie theater. This is one of those examples of like not having a lot of high expectations for a movie, and then going in and just being just so pleasantly surprised and being like 100% I'd see another one of these. And I do hope there's a sequel to this movie at some point.
Me too.
Oh yeah. Anything else you want to add about Dungeons and Dragons?
It was just like, yeah, like I said, it was a really fun time. The characters, there was heartwarming, so you get, a couple tear jerkers. There's like good lessons learned, and it was just, as I've played a little D&D, and I can really appreciate all the references that they made, and yeah, it was great. It was super fun time.
I think that's true. I mean, even as someone who's only played a little bit of D&D, I think what the essence that they are able to capture is kind of the silliness of it, right? It's like, this is a true D&D campaign down to the oddness of some moments where it's like you can see that the DM is trying to get things back on track, in certain moments. And I think this is a great Chris Pine vehicle. I love Chris Pine.
Oh yeah.
One of the best Chris's, in my opinion. I know he probably gets shortchanged a lot, but I think he's great. I think he's very charming and fun to watch in this movie. Same with Michelle Rodriguez. Justice Smith is good. Hugh Grant is hilarious. I genuinely like whatever Hugh Grant is doing now. He's just kind of like, no, I'm just going to make weird movies. I'm into that. This is a fun movie. It's got a really fun cast. It's high fantasy without taking itself very seriously. It's like I would say it's like the spiritual opposite from a fantasy perspective of Lord of the Rings, which takes itself extremely seriously. This is like not that way, but in a good way. They managed to capture the joy and whimsy of playing D&D, and you have to give them props for that. It's very fun.
Yeah, and one thing I'll really quickly wanted to say about it is the characters in it, and that each character, you can think of how you're making your own character in D&D, and it really felt like each actor you could have imagined that each actor was given a sheet, or like, okay, make a character, and they just come up with the wildest thing, like a mage that can't do magic, like just like wild things, and comes together. So I think like the character creation of each character in the movie also feels true to making a D&D character.
100%. I think this is a great example of a movie that does not deserve to be this good, but is ultimately pretty great. So this movie didn't make a ton of money, but like made enough. I think it will probably get a sequel, and I think it deserves one. It's a great movie. It's on my honorable mentions. My number 3. So you're gonna notice a theme between my number 3 and my number 2, as they're both animated movies. But my number 3 is I really struggled with this because I felt like, well, I can't have 2. I don't know why. Those in the animation industry know that it's a medium not a genre. So I shouldn't get on my own ass about this. But I was struggling with including these two, and I think, by the way, this year there were some really good movies, but I think largely speaking, this was not one of the best years for movies. There is a lot of low points this year, so I'll just put that out there. It was a little harder to pick. Number one was easy, but after that, it was not. And so my number three, and I'll explain why. My number three is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants Mayhem, and obviously it's riffing on the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, feel, but it feels unique enough from that to not feel just like a riff. And I love the Ninja Turtles. I think if you grew up in the late '80s and early '90s, I just don't, there's just no way you didn't have some sort of attachment to the Ninja Turtles. Like, and if you say you didn't, I think you're a liar. I mean, like, truly, I like. So there's like two people. There's only two types of people in the world: those who like Ninja Turtles in the late '80s and '90s, and liars. So this is one of the first times, because the last ones, I don't know if you guys remember, the last Ninja Turtle movies were not very good. They were produced by Michael Bay. They were live action. Their turtles looked gross and scary, and were not teenagers. And then we get this movie, and it is produced by, I think, a great, like, Seth, man, what's his name? TMNT Mutant Mayhem. Riffing here as it's loading. Seth Rogen. So Seth Rogen, I think, has a sensibility that I think we all understand at this point. And it kind of works for Ninja Turtles, turns out, especially teenage ones. And so this, I think what stuck with me more than anything about this movie is its soundtrack. It's all 90s hip hop, 80s, 90s hip hop. And which kind of doesn't make sense because it's set in modern day with actual teenagers playing the turtles, which also I think is extremely endearing, by the way, to have actual teenagers, for better or for worse, because no one truly understands teenagers. They are a mystery to everyone, including themselves. But they come off so wholesome and true to life as genuine characters and not just caricatures of Leo, Raph, and all the the Ninja Turtles that we know, right? They feel like real people. And combine that with the score, which as I said, the soundtrack, which I stuck with me for so long. I kept listening to it on Spotify over and over again. I kept telling everyone who would listen to me, go see the new Ninja Turtles movie. The music is super cool. You have Ice Cube playing the villain as Superfly, and it's like you have Seth Rogen playing Bebop. He has obviously a John Cena as Rocksteady, Rose Byrne as Leatherhead, Giancarlo Esposito as Baxter Stockman, Jackie Chan plays Splinter, Paul Rudd plays Mondo Gecko. Like, it is just like a true blast. And by the way, I already mentioned already, but Ayo Edebiri, who's from The Bear, plays April O'Neil. And it's so cool. I just think everything about this movie is cool. The way it looks, the way it sounds, every performance, the fact that it's Ninja Turtles obviously is helpful, but it's a smash hit from my perspective. It didn't get any love from the Oscars, which I think is a shame. But I had to include this on my list. I was between this and Guardians of the Galaxy Season 3, or Volume 3, sorry. And as much as I love that movie, the Guardians movies just don't vibe with me in the long haul over time. And this has been true of Volume 1 and Volume 2, both good movies, but both feel not disposable, but like I don't feel the urge to revisit them. I don't have a strong attachment to them. I like them when I'm seeing them. When I'm in the moment with them, I think they're great. But give me some distance from them and I almost forget they exist, for better or for worse. So I just feel like I couldn't do that. There's other options I could have put at 3, like Killers of the Flower Moon, The Iron Claw, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, that all were in similar kind of headspace for me. But what tipped it over was the fact that I just kept telling everyone I know, and this is not something I was doing for these other movies. I just kept telling everyone I knew to go see TMNT Mutant Mayhem, and everyone I know who followed up on that was happy that they did. So that's my pick for number 3. Have either of you guys seen this? Have seen TMNT?
No.
And you got to do it. I think it's on Paramount Plus now. So it's easy to stream at home. Vince, are you gonna strike out here for the first time?
I've hit the wall. I unfortunately have not seen as many movies this year as I have TV shows.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
that
enough.
one's
You're
my first miss.
You're the opposite of Jeremy.
Yeah, it is on my
Anyway,
list though. It is on the movie list.
you should see it. It's so fun. It's so delightful. It's hilarious. The action's great. The animation style is super compelling. Yeah, no, can't express TMNT Mutant Mayhem. Very good movie. Okay, Jeremy, hit me with the movie. I don't care. You don't have to put a number on it. Just hit me with something.
I only have one.
Oh, man, you're fucking killing me here, dude. You only have one movie. Do you want to hold it, or do you want to tell me now?
Yeah, I can just wait till the end, I guess.
Okay, so you've only seen one movie all year that's worth talking about. You don't want to mention the Iron Claw. You don't want to mention.
No, you can pay the $5 and listen to the Patreon if you want to.
We do like the Iron Claw. I'm gonna put the Iron Claw at Jeremy's number 3. So because he doesn't use this working document, I'm gonna put it there. So just for documentation's sake, you're not gonna put Super Mario Bros. Movie at number 3 or number 2. Come on, I know you like that movie.
I mean, if you want to fill it in, you can go ahead and do that.
What about Barbie? What about I'm trying to think of anything else you might have seen. I'm pretty sure I know what your number 1 pick is, but there's nothing else jumps out at you. You can't.
No, you said it was a bad year. It was a bad year for movies.
Yeah, I did say that. That's fair to say. Okay, we'll come back to you. You don't want to put The Flash?
No, thanks.
No. Okay. John Wick Chapter 4. Okay. Vince.
Hello.
Your number 2.
My number 2 ties into what you were just saying before. Guardians 3. That one's my second pick, and I did experience a little bit of fall off, like you said. The further away I got away from it, but thinking back on even all the movies in that phase, it still ranks really high in my overall Marvel phase 4 to 5. It's actually at the top of my list, beating out Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange. I wonder if I may be ranking this too high now. I did like Spider-Man No Way Home a little bit more than Guardians 3 now.
I just saw a video title on YouTube that said that Spider-Man No Way Home does not age well.
It doesn't. Oh, really?
That's what I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying that's what I saw YouTube saying. So I could believe that to be true just by the fact that it relies so heavily on like the Spider-Man surprise, and I don't know how that would hold up in rewatch as well. I don't know. I think Volumes of the Galaxy Volume 3 is great because it has a strong emotional core, which is extremely important. But again, for whatever reason, they just don't stick with me like other Marvel movies do. I don't know why. But again, no, please espouse why this one works so well for you.
Yeah, I think. I think the one thing that didn't quite work for me is I think with a lot of the Marvel movies, they're not quite sticking with their heavy beats. I don't know if I can go into spoilers of Guardians 3. Can I?
You can get into some. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. No, no, I won't. But they pulled a pretty big punch. They made a pretty big punch right near the beginning of the movie, and I think they should have followed through all the way with it. And so that puts it on number 2.
You think they didn't have the stones to commit to? Interesting. I think that's a fair criticism. We're ultimately dealing with Marvel or comic book movies, right? I mean,
I suppose that's true.
I don't know. I think that's a cheap, I think that's an escape hatch, to be honest. I think they should be willing to I've been saying this now for a while. The biggest thing that's missing from modern blockbusters is stakes.
Yeah.
People don't die. You're dealing with life and death situations, but no one ever dies. And because of that, everything feels weightless and pointless. And what's the most true thing in life? The only true thing in life is death, right? It's the only thing that you can 100%, what do they say? Death and taxes,
Death and
right?
taxes.
So, and we're not and I guess you could say that watching these movies without any stakes is like taxing my time, but I don't I don't know. I really do. I think you're right, because what they set up at the beginning of the movie is very compelling. I don't necessarily agree that they have to follow through to make it worthwhile, because there's other things that they could do to achieve that same end about stakes and and all that stuff, um, without having to follow through on on that specific plot line.
Mhm.
But I do think it's a shame, just in general. This is not just a knock against Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a knock against all modern comic book movies, really.
Well, they did follow through. I would say, though, now that I've thought about it a little more, they did follow through with the Gamora storyline. She doesn't
Yeah,
just
that's
revert
interesting.
back,
Yep. No,
right?
I think that's
This
good. That's good.
that is something I did appreciate in the story. That, like, oh, they didn't try to rewrite it back to her just being back to her previous self. It was like, no, this is Gamora from 2013, and she doesn't have the same feelings and the same. No, it's really a really different person. And I think I did appreciate a lot that they didn't try to rewrite around that, and they kept that as they did it.
Yeah, I think one thing that James Gunn understands is characters, and I don't think he would ever shortcut character. And I think it's shown that he doesn't do that. We know for a fact that he was annoyed by some of the things that some of the Avengers, like the Russos, did with some of his characters in from Guardians, and that he felt like weren't true to character and those kinds of things. It's part of the reason I think that I'm excited about what he's going to potentially do with the DCU,
Mm-hmm.
is because again, I think he does understand character, and so I'm hoping that translates through to that. Jeremy, did you see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 Volume 3? I feel like you did for some reason.
No, I didn't.
No, okay, I didn't imagine that. I imagine that. Here's the thing. I think he makes good movies. James Gunn makes good movies. I think people who are worried that he's going to start making bad movies all of a sudden, um, need to have some patience. I think it's going to be fine. Okay. Moving on, then we will go to my number 2. My number 2 is Across the Spider-Verse. Again, another animated movie, and in a very similar
Mm.
style. You could say that those movies are too similar. I could say that this is my list, and I don't care what you have to say. So Across the Spider-Verse is a very compelling sequel to the first one. Into the Spider-Verse is one Best Animated Film that year at the Oscars. I think this movie has the potential to win the sequel has the potential to win that same award this year at the Oscars. Um, the problem is that the third movie is probably years away, which is a problem. And that there's all sorts of potential problematic things going on at the studio. But we're going to talk about this movie specifically. Um, I put it above TMNT Mutant Mayhem, and I really was switching these back and forth. And the reason I put it at number 2 and not number 3 is because this movie has such a strong emotional core. It really understands um, what works in this family dynamic, and because again, I think that's important to mention here. There's a strong family dynamic. Peter Parker has Aunt May, and that's nice. What Miles Morales has is a full family that he has an attachment to. It's a very different dynamic, and because of that, they have the opportunity to explore how he responds and interacts with his father, who's a cop, but also his mother. And Luna Velez, Luna Lauren Velez, who plays Rio Morales, his mother, has this standout scene where he's talking to Miles about him going off into the world and being his own man, and how she just wants him to be happy and people to accept him.
Mm.
And it's one of the most heart-wrenching moments I've saw on screen all year. It's not even close. And that emotional through line is maintained throughout the whole movie. And that's including as you start adding more characters and you start getting more complex with the whole multiversal stuff, which was already there. But Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara as Spider-Man 2099 is this really great anti-hero slash villain character who kind of plays this intermediary between the true quote unquote villain of the series in Spot. And Spot's played by Jason Schwartzman, who crushes it. It's so funny. Like, the thing is about this movie is it's hilarious. It is emotional. It has strong relationships. The individual characters are well understood and fleshed out. Their interpersonal dynamics are compelling. They're not um, rote. There are unexpected things that happen in this movie and decisions that people make that you might disagree with, but you understand why they would make these decisions. Um, you have Haley Steinfeld's Gwen Stacy, and I think she, as Spider Gwen, is one of the best Spider characters we've seen on screen for a long, long time, years. And she's also in the MCU. She's also Hawkeye's protege. I actually think she's growing into become one of the better actors out there right now. And Shamik Mora's Miles is still great, obviously growing on the original performance. I could just continue to go down here and just name all the actors and all the great work they're doing, but I will. Mahershala Ali, Uncle Aaron, he appears in this again. He was obviously in the first movie. There are Jack Quaid, by the way, as another another version of Spider-Man in this movie. Jack Johnson as another version of Spider-Man. Peter B. Parker from again the first movie continues to evolve. All these characters have evolved since the first movie. They feel like they are again real people. This is something that I've been coming back to a lot today. But these movies that don't treat their characters like caricatures, like paper thin, do this and do that because the script says so, but their actions feel motivated by their own internal conscience and their own thoughts and feelings and desires, and all these characters have that, despite there being so many of them. And that's on top of the, again, unbelievably compelling animation style that continues to be impressive even in its second go around, and even with derivatives like TMNT. And I say that sounds like like I'm deriding it, but it's so interesting to be able to bring the page, the comic book page, to life on a screen, but also pay homage to the still image, the drawn images that we see and love from the comic books. It's this perfect blend between the two. And live action's great. I love live action Spider-Man, but this is almost better because it allows you to really truly experience Spider-Man in the imaginative way that people had and have seen it in their own heads when they were writing it and they were drawing it. So, yeah, I love this movie. I can't wait for the third one, and I have concerns about the development of it. I mean, the stuff they had to do to make it work, but I truly love Cross the Spider-Verse. I can't say enough good things about it. Has anyone else seen this movie and can back me up on this a little bit?
Yeah, man, I got you. I got you here too.
Okay, see, this is why we brought Vince in. If it was just me and Jeremy, it would have just been me talking the whole time.
So, yeah, I particularly love the mother and father's relationship, like so Jeff and Rio's relationship with Miles in this movie. And I think what caught me is like the trailer caught me when Miles was like in trouble, or when he was talking with the lady at the school. It was like, I think it was the advisor. And just like the family dynamic, like you said, like how he interacts with his parents, and it felt like, oh, it felt like a real family. And like you say, like having grounded characters that feel like real characters, not just caricatures, really really elevated this movie a lot. And like Oscar Isaac's Miguel, like the character's motivation for what he's doing, doing a bad thing for a good reason, that's always a really interesting. That makes for so much more of an interesting antagonist for him being a semi-antagonist for part of the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the voice acting on everything. Haley Seinfeld, of course, as Gwen Stacy was amazing.
Oh, her
And
opening sequence is so great. It's
oh,
like it's so cool. I everything about this movie is so cool. That's the best word I can use for it. It's just effortlessly cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and fun, and fun.
Super fun. Yeah. I mean,
Like,
there's heavy moments, but it's always a fun time. You're never not having a good time in this movie.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I think go back to Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara 2099. He's such a good character because you disagree with almost every single thing he's doing, but you understand for
Mm-hmm.
every second why he's doing it. And I just think that's like such a great. I mean, I know that's a factor. It's always been what makes a good villain, but this is a good example of when that's happening for real. So all right, let's move on to Vince, your number one.
My number one, Mario Brothers.
Really? Number one? Really? Okay. That's
Number one,
interesting.
Mario Brothers. So
Wow.
I'll as a kid, when I was maybe 7 years old, I think is when my dad came home with a Nintendo and Mario Brothers 1. And so that was my very first video game ever. And the experience of playing it with my dad for hours on end in the basement on the TV, and it basically is started my entire me being a gamer because of that moment. To now have a movie that faithfully interprets the characters is it is just a special movie. It was just a special movie for me to finally have like a full length feature film of Mario. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I will hold my comments for a second. Jeremy, I know you also saw this movie, so do you want to comment on Mario?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I was kind of in the same boat with Vince, like pretty hyped for it for sure. And definitely excited for the future of this franchise. I think
Mm-hmm.
they nail so much. It just I think it came down to the overall kind of experience or story or emotional through line wasn't necessarily like kind of there as impactful as like your typical Disney like kind of animated movie. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that kind of leaves a little bit of a to be desired, but I mean it made tons of money. It's a huge success. The voice
Huge
acting was
success.
great across the board,
Mm-hmm.
including Chris Pratt. So yeah, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that pick. It's
I
just
don't know.
not Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's where we're going to go next. I think I'll just quickly mention this because again, it was on my honorable mentions. It's not in my top. It's not in my top three. I think what's holding it back is that it's a little thin on the why any of this is happening or why any of it matters. It feels pretty weightless. There's really fun moments, but it's kind of just feels like fun moments stitched with one fun moment after fun moment, and not it doesn't really have a good through line, in my opinion. So I think that's a problem. It hits all the marks and hits and does all these cool things, but I just feels like I'd like a little bit more cohesion in my Super Mario movie. And maybe that's not a fair critique, but there's some great stuff in here. I mean, you guys mentioned like the they nail the characters. I think there's so much fun. I think having Charlie Day as Luigi's a inspired choice. Jack Black
Oh,
as
so
Bowser
good.
is great. I mean, Peaches is a truly like outstanding song. Anya Taylor Joy as Princess Peach crushes it. I think Chris Pratt's fine, but I mean, he doesn't have to really like. The thing is, it's the world that does a lot of the heavy lifting. It's not about Mario per se. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great movie. It's stunningly beautiful. I think it's you have to really give it to what's the animation studio for them? It's
Illumination, I think.
Illumination, yeah, who did not less great animated movies in the past. So this is kind of like easily I think their best work. this is such a success that we're going to get a Zelda movie, we're going to get another Mario movie, we're going to get lots of other Nintendo
I'm waiting
stuff.
for the Kirby movie.
Yeah, that'll happen. I think at this point, I mean,
It's gotta.
this was such a success that I think anything's on the table. That in and of itself is enough to, I think, convince me that it's worthwhile.
And it has to culminate with a Smash Bros. Movie, right?
I don't think a Smash Bros. Movie makes any sense. I don't think you need one, to be honest. Maybe I'm alone on that, but like, what is the Smash Bros. Movie? Is it just
It's the
how could it be
multiverse.
any? We already saw what like a Mortal Kombat stuff could be. It's hard enough to do that, and that has a plot. Never mind Smash Bros, which has no plot. So that's tough. I don't know. I'm willing to entertain it, but I don't think you need it. That's my take. All right, let's talk about number one. This is my number one. This is Jeremy's number one. This is Oppenheimer. Jeremy, you jump into this because I know you are itching to get out of here. You get back to you have to work in the morning, and I know you have a baby. So, give us the tell me why this is not only your number one, but it's like number one, and everything else is a distant second or third or who knows what. We don't put numbers on it, but
Yeah, it's just everyone showed up with their A game and just, knocked it out of the park. Like every single performance, and obviously Nolan directing, writing, just had a masterful vision and just realized it, uh, with the help, with the music by Ludwig, which is just incredible. Just really ties everything together. The fact that it's a true story, a massive true story, like in terms of our human history.
it's a it changes the world. This is the
Yeah,
biggest thing for me. It recontextualizes my understanding of the world we live in today. That there's very few movies that can do that. This one did that. I'll never forget it
yeah,
because it did that. I'll have more to say, but Jeremy, please continue.
yeah. Like I honestly didn't know too much, like just kind of surface level. I never really did much research on it or like learned about it. Um, but then yeah, just as it plays out and like just the lengths they go to, the money spent, but just even creating like the little town, like it's just so
Los Alamos.
yeah, like it's such an unbelievable thing, but it makes so much sense. Like, you know what I mean? Just having everyone present and not having to sacrifice so much in order to get to the end goal. But then what does that mean? Like, what does that create? Like, um, and and like Killian, obviously like, there's no way he doesn't win the Oscar. Like, it's
It seems
it
unlikely, right?
it all hinges on him, like his face, his performance, and it's amazing. Like every next scene, it's like, how is this guy doing this?
Well,
He
and
just embodies a different person.
it's a
And then
long movie.
same with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Incredible. Just the little twitches he does and and just the emotion he portrays in his kind of villainous stance, across from Killian.
Hmm.
So yeah, just breathtaking movie, astonishing, really.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't want to beat the dead horse here, but I did a pilgrimage to see this movie. I went to see it in IMAX in Regina, which is a 5-hour drive from here. Um, and that's not relatively that long. I can do a 5-hour drive to see a movie that's 3 hours long. And it was worth it. I got to see it on 70 millimeter film stock on full IMAX screen, and it did not disappoint. It's unbelievable. As I said before, like I said, it recontextualizes my understanding of the world we live in. It helps me understand why things are the way that they are. There was a time in human history from the moment that humans crawled out of the muck up through the moment that the atom bomb was created. That was, one type of world. And then they invented the atom bomb. And now we live in that world, and that world will continue until whatever the next world ending thing that we can create. And but at another level, it's because you're dealing with the smallest possible thing, the atom. That, well, technically you can get smaller than the atom now, but for the for the sake of conversation, this thing that binds the universe together, if I can use Star Wars for a moment, right? And the sheer understanding of that one minuscule, tiny little thing, how it can have this impact on people, the world, the universe, our understanding of it. Some of the greatest minds of all time involved in this project, right? I think they articulate it well, right? I think ideally we'd all prefer to live in a world where we didn't have to think about the fact that the world could end at any moment due to someone having a bad day who has the power to control atomic missiles, right?
Mhm.
But there was a moment in time where they understood that either they built it and made it, or the Nazis would. And I think there's no greater villain in the history of the world than the Nazis. So you can understand why they do it, but it's still every moment of the construction, creation, conception of the atom bomb feels like you are marching towards inevitable doom. I think they really create this sense of inevitability in this movie because again, we know it's used, right? History says it was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? And so we know that. And there's the debate in this movie about should it be used or shouldn't it be used and all this stuff, but it's kind of irrelevant because we know it happens. But and even this kind of concept of, well, what if we destroy everything? We know that it doesn't destroy everything, but they didn't know. And this is because this is a true story. You are put into the shoes of these people who are taking that chance into their hands, the potential to destroy everything. And the weight of that is so brilliantly communicated in this movie. With the IMAX screen, it helps do a lot. It does a lot of heavy lifting because it makes everything feel larger than life. But the direction, the acting, specifically from Cillian Murphy, but from everyone involved, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Alden Ehrenreich. It's like, this is what an amazing cast. It goes on and on and on. All the people that show up for just a single line. But it's a story that you felt like needed to be told, but you didn't know it needed to be told this way. And then when you saw it this way, it just leaves you shaken. It's not a movie I want to ever revisit necessarily. It feels to me like almost The Last of Us, a game that I played once and I felt satisfied that I had played that game because it's so heavy and it provided so much context to and things to think about and about your life and this does the same thing on a massive scale. It's nominated for 13 Oscars. It's likely to win a lot of those, and I think it's deserving of all those things. Jeremy, is there anything else you'd want to add?
No, I think that's good.
All
And
right,
I
then
got to
Jeremy,
bounce now.
you are free to run. I will
All
finish
right.
this off with Vince, and I will let you know if there's any other highlights that are worth mentioning to you.
Sounds good.
Okay. All
See
right.
you boys later. See you, Vince.
Later.
See ya, man.
Vince, anything you've, I assume, seen Oppenheimer? Anything you want to add?
This is actually one I have not seen yet.
Wow. Okay.
This and Barbie are the next two movies I'm going to go see.
That's impressive because Barbenheimer was such a
I
phenomenon,
know.
right?
It just hit me at like just the right moment where like I just wasn't going to the movie theaters for a while, and I don't know what it was that I didn't go see it. I often go to I go to the movies alone a lot, and I definitely could have just gone one day. But what I will say about Oppenheimer is something you touched on earlier, is that like there was, like you say, this moment of time before and after the atom bomb, and I don't think I ever really thought about it that our entire lives, like I was born in
Our entire lives, man.
1987,
Yeah.
that like it's always this threat of instant death
I don't think we think
has
about it, but it's
always,
there. It's there.
yeah,
It,
it's
it,
always been there.
yeah, and it makes you aware of it again, and it's not a nice feeling. I
No.
don't care for it. I got to be honest. I am not a fan of nuclear proliferation. I would prefer if we all agreed. And in fact, this movie touches on a time and place where they felt like if everyone knew about how to build a nuclear bomb, then at least we're safe because no one would destroy everyone, right? That mutually assured destruction would be the solution. But there was a time when they didn't want that to be the case, where the Americans should be the only ones who knew how to build it. And the people who released that secret were tried for treason. So, I this is one of maybe the heaviest story. I mean, the Iron Claw is a pretty heavy movie. It was a lot of tragedy, but it's personal tragedy. This is like taking that times 1,000 and thinking about the consequences to the world, and it's very upsetting. I don't. Again, I said I don't care for it. I really would prefer to not live in a world where we live under the threat of nuclear armaments at any given moment. So not that specific piece. I think, and I think it specifically for us who've never lived in a world. I think most people who, there are certainly people who are alive still who remember this stuff, but not many. And almost everyone in the world today, a vast majority, has lived under the threat of nuclear war their entire life. And it's hard to quantify what that means or how that affects everybody on a daily basis. But I think it does. I think it does have an impact. I think it does dictate how people live their lives and the decisions they make at some subconscious level. I don't know.
I think so too. I think it's like you say, it's hard to tell exactly what that is, but I'm sure. Yeah, but there's got to be some kind of impact.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a great movie, and worth it if you ever had the chance. If you did get to, if you ever have the chance again, because I think it's being reshown in certain IMAX theaters. If you ever have the chance to see it in a true IMAX theater in 70mm film print, do yourself a favor. Do whatever you can to go see it.
Now, I can ask you this question. Should I watch Barbie first, then Oppenheimer, or Oppenheimer, then Barbie?
I think you watch Oppenheimer first and then decompress with Barbie.
Do a palate cleanse after?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I did it the other way, but I kind of wish I hadn't. I wish I'd seen Barbie second. I really love, by the way, Barbie's on my honorable mentions. I think it's a really fun movie. Hilarious, has strong messages. It takes a extremely difficult adaptation concept and makes it work, largely speaking. And so I have nothing against Barbie. I do understand people have gripes about some of the Oscar stuff. We'll talk about that more in our Oscar preview show. But I don't think it stands a chance against Oppenheimer from an Oscars perspective. It's a great movie, but it's not winning Best Picture. It's really fun, and I think it's so fun that they're so starkly different, and they came out on the same day, and it created this big thing. I think the Oppenheimer phenomenon was great for movies. I think it's hard to replicate. I think it's pretty unique of a moment, and that it's unlikely that you're going to see something like that happen again anytime soon. I think you'll see people try to make it happen, and it'll feel forced and phony, and it won't work in the same way. What made it work was that it was organic. There was like, oh, who's going to move? And they're like, no, neither of us are going to move. We feel like we're different enough movies that we don't need to compete. And you know what? They both that experience, the rising tide lifts all boats. It was a smashing success. Okay, so let's list out a few more honorable mentions. I mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. We talked about that already. Asteroid City. This is a Wes Anderson movie, the Wes Anderson movie of the year. He seems to be doing one every year almost these days. I love Wes Anderson. It's delightful. This is one of the more difficult to approach Wes Anderson movies. I think it's very abstract. And it kind of flips things inside out. Did you see Asteroid City?
I did watch it. It felt like I was watching one of those movies your teacher would put on in high school and say, okay, now write an essay about what this means.
Yeah. I think if someone asked me to write an essay about what Asteroid City means, I think I'd have a hard time. I think it's not to say that it's too complicated. I just think that it doesn't do itself a lot of favors in terms of its how I think it has big ideas, but the way it addresses those big ideas, I think is a little bit too, as I said, abstracted to make it really impactful. I think it gets lost in the shuffle a little bit because of that. I think there's great performances. I love every time. The thing is, Wes Anderson gets great performances out of actors because it's about the dialogue and a very specific acting style. and certain actors are really good at that. And it's fun to be and see that stuff. For me, Grand Budapest Hotel is still by far my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I think it's the most complete experience from Wes Anderson film perspective for my money.
Mm.
Asteroid City does not reach those heights for me, but I will say, alongside Asteroid City on Netflix, um, he did a bunch of Roald Dahl shorts, and Roald Dahl has a natural connection with Wes Anderson. In fact, the Roald Dahl estate is kind of single-handedly provided Wes Anderson like the keys to the kingdom. So he can do whatever he wants with that material because there's again that natural kind of relationship there. And he does a bunch of them. They're all on Netflix. These short films. If you're looking for just a little punch of Wes Anderson, it's a great way
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And Roald Dahl, hard to beat in terms of source material to work off of. So mention that as well. I don't know if you saw any of those.
No,
Um,
no, I haven't.
You should go search those out if you like Wes Anderson. It's worth it. Also mention Super Mario Bros. Also on my honorable mentions. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Mm.
I think this is a very fun Indiana Jones movie. Very, very capable. I like the sci-fi twist that they apply to this. I think they have compelling villain here, and I think Harrison Ford is putting in pretty good performance. I genuinely think this is a really fun Indiana Jones movie that hits on a lot of the highs of previous Indiana Jones movies. The thing is, Harrison Ford's quite old now, so it's
Yeah,
hard to do the same stuff. And they do it. There's a flashback sequence where they do a de-aged thing. I think it's pretty compelling. It's pretty fun.
yeah. I thought that
So
it worked for me.
yeah, I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't think there is a way to people who are like true, the biggest Indiana Jones fans of Raiders and Last Crusade and that stuff. There's no recapturing that. So what's the next best thing? This, I think it's so good. I really like it. I don't understand I don't get what people want. This is another thing that I have with Star Wars right now. It's like, what do you want? I don't get it because this is fun stuff with the characters you like put in and by the way, fun new characters. Some of them I feel a little bit maybe
Yeah.
if I can provide a gripe, feel a little derivative of some previous Indiana Jones characters that we've had in the past.
Mm.
But I think here it works for me. The mystery's fun, the gimmick is fun, the twist is fun, the acting is good. I don't know. It's a winner for me. Killers of Flower Moon. This is a 3+ hour movie from Scorsese. Scorsese's still fucking great. So, you can't really complain there. The movie's long. That is, I think, a gripe that anyone can say. I think
Oh,
Scorsese.
I've never run up to a long movie and be like, oh man, I wish this was shorter.
Well,
I've
yeah,
actually
yeah.
I enjoy long form, even like TV shows and stuff. Like, I think it's because I'm just rebelling against the 23-minute Marvel TV shows.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
I'm just like, okay, no, just give me as much as possible. I'll just take it all
It
in.
did feel like they were like the Marvel shows not only were short in episodes, but the episodes themselves. This is also true with some of the Star Wars shows.
Yes.
Give your
Yes.
show some time to breathe. What is
Yeah.
the rush? I don't like that. That's a fair critique. But Killers of the Flower Moon takes its time, and Scorsese's comment is like, listen, if you got to go to the bathroom, fine, go and watch it again, like, or watch it at home. There's like who cares? Like, I think it's a fair comment from him. This is a much better movie than his last one, which was direct to Netflix, I think. And it has, I don't know. I don't need to beat this to death. Everyone who's seen this movie, I think, probably pretty much likes it. It's obviously nominated for Best Picture. I don't want to get into it. There's lots to unpack with the Killers of the Flower Moon. It's not in my top 3, and it is certainly in probably my top 5. It'd probably be slotted around 5, I'm guessing. It's a really compelling story. It's a story I didn't know. Also based on a true story. You have Leo putting in a really interesting performance as not the lead. And he is a lead, but he's not the lead here. And I don't know. I think maybe it does maybe overstay its welcome a little bit. A little bit of trimming might not have hurt the movie. Again, we just got over saying it doesn't matter if it's too long, but I think um, it has one of the best trail. I will say this: it has one of, if not the best trailer I saw all year, um, with some of the best like intercutting with music and stuff. It's really cool.
Oh.
But as a complete movie, it's very satisfying. It's quite dark. It's a little upsetting. Well, more than a little upsetting. Um, but it feels like a gangster movie set in a time before the gangsters that we're used to from Scorsese even existed. And because of that, I think he's kind of playing with house money and is able to explore these characters in a whole different way. You know, you have De Niro here playing a character he doesn't normally play. You have Leo playing a character he doesn't normally play, and then um, you have newcomers to this movie who I obviously again also nominated. Lily Gladstone, who plays Molly Burkhart, is nominated for best actress. Totally worth it. Jesse Plemons is here. Jesse Plemons is quickly becoming one of my favorite actors. So anytime he appears, it's always worthwhile. John Lithgow, um, and obviously again I mentioned De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. So um, great cast. You get to spend a lot of time with these characters. You know, there's not a it's not a huge cast in terms of you're not spending a lot of time with a lot of side characters, um, but you do get to spend a lot of time with Leo and De Niro and Lily, and because of that, you get Scorsese knows how to shoot a movie. You get to see the things, emotions on these people's faces, and the the how they have to deal with these really bullshit situations, and the coldness of and the callousness of these people to take advantage um is upsetting and gross, but that's what the point of the
Mm-hmm.
movie is. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I think it's a great movie. I no doubt there. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 we mentioned already, and then Iron Claw. As Jeremy said, go listen to our review. I think it's worth it. It's really fun. So okay, my disappointments. The Flash, I think that's not a
Oh
surprise. That movie's
no.
garbage. There's some good
Yeah.
moments. Speaking of like father, parents and their kids moments. The moments between the Flash and his mom that we get in this movie are pretty good. But and the Flash and his dad are also pretty good. But everything else is pretty much useless. And Ezra Miller he's not a leading man in my opinion. So
No.
that's beyond all the kind of extra extracurricular stuff that we already know of
Yeah.
with him that makes this even more problematic. But it also feels like this movie's been cut and reshot a million times. It feels like it's got studio fingerprints all over it. It relates to another theme of mine that I wanted to mention quickly, which is that the continuing trials and tribulations of the Warner Brothers studio, and after their merger with Discovery, it just keeps getting worse. Like whether it's the Batgirl movie being shelved, um,
Mm.
or now the Flash or Aquaman 2, which I actually thought was a pretty fun movie, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't perform and for obvious reasons. So I plus it's got all this gross like reviving these dead actors for these performances that don't need to be. It's like it's really weird, and so it's got a lot of problems, and even the reintroduction of a Batman that I think all have fondness for does not save this movie, and it's a massive disappointment. Did you see it? Did you see the Flash?
I did. And speaking of that particular Batman, it felt a lot to me the way Luke Skywalker did when he got reintroduced in the later movies, where he's just this curmudgeonly old man and doesn't really care, and it's like, oh man, it just kind of pops your bubble of who you always thought that version of Batman was, kind of thing. So
Well,
I
I'm
was like,
upset that you used the Luke Skywalker example because I love the Luke from the Last Jedi, and especially for the exact reason that you mentioned, which is that it makes him a real person and not a icon. Um, and I think that it's hard to. It's like, okay, well, this character's become an icon, so now what? Right? It's hard to tell a story with that character. So I understand what they had to do in that scenario, and no love lost for Ryan Johnson. I think that movie's great, but I know that a lot of the people disagree. Um, but I think you're right. I mean, this Batman just does not have it. It's from a different era. Doesn't really fit into the world that they've established here with the old DCEU, and
Mhm.
it's a shame because I think um, there's a lot of interesting things you could do with that dynamic, but they don't capitalize on it. And not only that, we had a really great interpretation of the Flash on television with Grant Gustin.
Yeah,
That
Gustin.
Grant Gustin that I
Yes.
think gets completely not overshadowed because that show stand on its own, but over overlooked by this movie in such a kind of an insulting way,
Mm,
I think, especially if you're dealing with a
yeah.
multiverse theme and concept that we got here. So yeah, Michael Keaton's Batman, he's too old for this part, A, to play an actual Batman. And B, why is Batman even in this movie? So, that's on top of the cringy humor that Ezra Miller's bringing to this, and there's some endearing moments, but I think overall, um, it's a complete disaster. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so your honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Looks like you only have one.
I have one. I have one, and it is Aquaman 2. And I'll tell you why it is Aquaman 2. Because this movie got, at some point, I don't know if it was how it was pitched to me, but I heard it described as a buddy cop movie between Aquaman and Orm, the villain from the previous movie, who's Aquaman's brother. And something about that, just like that works for me.
Did that
And
did that dynamic come across to you on the screen?
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
feel that.
I thought it worked really well for me. I really enjoyed it.
I did like their dynamic, but I didn't feel like it was a buddy cop dynamic, I guess is my.
Yeah, maybe not so buddy cop, but it is like the straight guy, this like the straight laced guy, and then there's like the
And yeah,
wild guy, and
right. I mean,
Orm's kind of playing the straight laced guy, and
yeah, and also Jason Momoa is obviously we know his shtick. It's like over the
yeah,
top, silly stuff. So he's really cool, though. I think I love this movie for a similar reason, but for me, it's because it's a fucking cartoon. It's a true cartoon. There are villains with a layer and the henchmen wearing matching
yeah.
uniforms and stuff. I do feel bad for what's his name in this movie, Randall Park, who
Oh,
is really like burdened with a kind of unfair role to take on. It's like you have to play a henchman who has the larger role than every other. You have to wear these stupid outfits. You have it's like I don't know. It's a thankless job. I think he does a good job with it, all things considered. But um, it's not great.
yeah.
I think Aquaman 2 is so much fun. I think it's a well deserved sequel to the first movie, which I think is also a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it may be probably too silly for most people. I think is the ultimate takeaway. It's full of it's a heavy handed climate change allegory with essentially Doctor Evil style cartoon layer situation going on. There's
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of weird stuff like Mira's barely in the movie, and you know why because of all the behind the scenes
Yeah, that was
stuff.
a little bit. That felt it was pretty notable.
I just like, and I don't really even care because I don't have that much of a strong attachment to that character. But um, you could just see all those things on the screen, like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of reshoots and I think it looks really cool though. I think it has a great visual style. Um, I think Jason Momoa
Yeah.
does a great job as Aquaman. I think the suit looks really cool. Um, the it just gets so great, like it's so over the top. Um, there needs to be more movies that are like this. This movie Aquaman 2 should not exist. It costs too much money. It's absolutely ridiculous of a concept, and starring a character that's been widely derided as being too silly, also even from the comic books, and it makes it work. I don't know. I mean, it has no reason to exist. It doesn't deserve to exist, but it does, and I'm happy it does. So I agree with you on that
Yeah.
front.
Last thing I'll say about it is whenever a movie can hit me in the heartstrings, it'll get a passing grade for me. And right near the end, um, I guess spoilers for Aquaman 2.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do
And
that?
the DCEU, by the way, also important.
Yeah. We can talk about the last scene if we want to, but when so I'll generalize it. When Aquaman and Orm are holding this trident, and Aquaman's giving this like really heartfelt speech to his brother, and like me, I have a brother, and that just like, oh man, it's like
That
you're
worked
not
for you.
alone in this world. You're not alone in this. It's like, oh man, that hit me good. That hit me good.
All right. Hey, man.
That's
No,
yeah.
no disrespect. That's cool. I'm happy. I'm happy for you. Okay, so mention the last scene. Tell us what happens in the very final scene.
Oh yes. Okay. So our very final scene in DC EU is, of course, Orm picking up a cockroach and stuffing it in his burger and eating it and
Yeah,
putting a little smile on his face. Right?
yeah,
Of course.
hilarious.
Of
No, I think
course.
it's so funny that he tricks him into eating cockroaches in the first place. I think it's
Yeah, and so like for Orm, for the character, like, oh yeah, this is my brother told me this was good and it wasn't so bad, and like, yeah, smile on his face. But of course, like the meta joke of it all is like this is the last scene in the
yeah, but they
DCU.
didn't know that when they shot that, so it's like you can't really hold it against them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so your disappointments. You have the Flash here, but you also have one that I also have, which is Rebel Moon Part 1. What a
Yeah.
not
I
full
like
movie is what that is. It's not a full movie. I understand it's Part 1, but like it feels so disjointed as a film. It's so weird
yeah.
to me.
It's like maybe it was like the product of how I ended up watching that movie, which was, again, I think it was only on Netflix, so it was only in my upstairs computer. So whenever I was having lunch and at my computer or something like that, so I did watch it. Ended up in like I think 3 separate sittings, um, but like it kind of felt just like I understood the story and what it was trying to do, but it's just something about it that like didn't hook me. Where it's like where a space story should. And I love space stories, and there's just something about it that just wasn't quite clicking for me.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like Zack Snyder's Star Wars. I,
Yeah.
I don't think it ever even approaches the heights of Star Wars, really. There's an R-rated version that's supposed to be coming that's longer to Netflix soon. I will give that a shot because this version feels
Mm.
so oddly cut together, like they're cutting around things that should be there. And the characters, I talk about needing full, how great it is to have fully fleshed out characters. There's nothing approaching a fully fleshed out character in this movie. They are all paper
Yeah.
thin. I don't know anything about these people
Yeah.
ultimately, right? We
Yeah.
get the most basic concept of who these people are and what the world, like the larger world. And you could make the argument that that's true for Star Wars: A New Hope, but there you get a much more fully realized understanding of who those characters are in that movie than you get in this, especially the villain, where it's like, could they be more comically evil?
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, the answer is no. So, I mean, like,
they hit the max.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's full on cartoon character level. So, I wanted to like this movie. I think Zack Snyder is
Mm-hmm.
an amazing visual storyteller. I think he struggles very mightily with storytelling and character, especially character. I don't think he gets characters, and I think so. He would benefit a lot from having a strong script partner who does get that stuff. Because if he has a strong script, I think he can tell a strong movie. But if he's writing this stuff like he did here, oh man, it is it's a mess. It's not good.
Yeah.
Again, I'm willing to give it. Maybe it's like he designed it or thought of it as a rated R thing, and now the first version is PG-13. I don't even know why they did that. Just release the version that was his original vision to begin with. Like what it trying to recreate this whole um Snyder cut thing inorganically, and it feels forced.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, it's not great. And then okay, your last disappointment is Ant-Man Quantumania. What specifically disappointed you about that movie?
I think the loss of the potential of that movie, what that movie could have been, and what it didn't end up doing, I think is what disappointed me the most. Like I think Kang was a great villain in that
Mhm.
movie. I think the way
Unfortunately, Jonathan
he,
Majors is not.
yes,
It's not good, right?
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, good actor. Really liked him in everything I saw him in.
yeah,
But
good actor, terrible person.
terrible person, and now you have to fix it.
Yeah.
and puts the
I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe not the biggest loss considering.
It feels like recasting in this situation is just such like the obvious answer. Like it's the multiverse. Like we've already seen different versions of the same person in Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point, actually. That's a great point. I think that's probably what they'll do. And there's lots of
Yeah.
ways to make it work. They have options. Certainly. I largely agree. It feels a little hollow. I want to like this movie more. I saw it in Raleigh, and I got to see it at a Alamo Draft House, and I love seeing movies there. It's like my own little pilgrimage, and unfortunately, as a whole, it feels just pretty disposable. And it's supposed to set up this. It's supposed to have this like Avengers style stakes, but it doesn't really have the characters to carry that. Um, so I don't know. I agree. It's not. It's I do like the movie. I enjoy it, but I just think it is a disappointment. That's the only way to look at it, right? It's
Yeah.
just it does not hit the heights that it's trying to achieve, and is and was not the beginning, but certainly the first major sign that things were not as they should be at the Marvel world.
I think part of it too is it's another instance of them pulling their punches where Ant-Man should have died. For sure, hands
Yeah,
down.
maybe. Yeah.
Like I firmly
Or
believe
literally
that.
anybody could have died. That would have been.
Yeah, really, yeah. But like this was supposed to set up basically the next Thanos level threat, and he should have won in this movie at the very least. Like gotten achieved whatever kind of goal he was trying to achieve. Get his chair and get out, and then that would have gotten the other Kangs, the Council of Kangs, to be like, oh, that Kang is out, time to kick it into high gear, and now you start to have this invasion of Kangs, and that can
Yeah,
kind of kick off like
I
this
think that's
more
fair.
multiversal war.
Or you could have left Ant-Man and their team trapped in the quantum realm, and for all intents and purposes, they're dead to the other because they don't know how to get to them or whatever. So there's a lot of options that they had there. I think you hit the nail on the head, which is that Kang lost too many times in his introduction, both in Loki and in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So
Yes.
he becomes less of a compelling villain when he's constantly losing. This is a problem with Star Wars also has with its with some of its villains when they're losing constantly. So it's like, why should we care about these people at all? Because they seem extremely ineffectual. So anyway, I think I largely agree with you. But we've been going on too long, so let's wrap it up here. I had a few things that I wanted to mention as a part of trends and topics from the last year. I'll try to blend those into the upcoming or future Tower of Apple podcast episodes. So stay tuned for those. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think we hit on a lot of them. The one thing we didn't really talk about too much, writer strike, the actor strike, that was a big impact over the last year. We're going to feel it much more this year next as those kind of the ripple effect from that. And the slow death of physical media, which is something we've been talking about for a while. So those are all going to be on tap anyway. But that is to say, that is a wrap on the 7th annual Tobie Awards. Thank you, as always, for listening. The Tobies is something we get excited about every year. I certainly enjoyed making this episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. We will be back very soon with more TOB. There's going to be as I said, Dune. I don't think maybe I didn't mention this. We're going to be doing Dune for our next film club for next month, just in time for Dune Part 2 coming up March 1st. So stay tuned for that. That's on the Patreon, patreon.com/TowerBabblecast. If you have thoughts, comments about anything that we talked about today, hit me up on Twitter @TowerBabblecast, facebook.com/TowerBabblecast, or send us an email, towerbabblepodcast@gmail.com. But as I said, we've already talked too much. So I'll end it right here. Thank you for listening. We'll be talking to you very soon.